This is bad. Wait till you hear this news coming up. What's going on, my YouTube friends? This is Jerry Abbott, your #1 real estate resource here in beautiful Las Vegas. Hey guys, a couple of quick things before we dive into the video. Number one, if this is your first time on the channel and you want to learn the cold hard facts about the Las Vegas real estate market and real estate in general, definitely subscribe to the channel down below. Number two, make sure to give me a thumbs up like, guys. That would really help the channel out. And number three, if you guys are thinking about relocating at some point to beautiful Las Vegas, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent. I've lived here for nearly 20 years. I know every inch of this city. Just call, text, or email me when that time is right for you, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. Let's dive into the video. All right, guys, as I said in the intro part of the video, there is definitely some bad economic news coming out. In fact, I want you to take a look at these 5 bullet points real quick here on screen. Take a look at these. Number one, interest rates are at their highest level since 2006. Credit card debt just crossed $1 trillion. Multiple regional banks are on the brink of collapse. Regulators believe the system is strong, and we're 1 month away from the U.S. defaulting on its debt. That does not sound like a good situation for the economy, and it's going to trickle down in the housing market, as you're going to see in these upcoming segments. All right, let's take a look at this first article, because this is really the elephant in the room. This is talking about the United States economy potentially defaulting on its debt through the debt ceiling issues that we're facing right now, coming up at the beginning of June. Take a look at that headline. Stocks and bonds would crash violently in a debt crisis, even if the U.S. avoids immediate default, former New York Fed president says. And if you take a look right here on this third bullet point, right there, he says, I have one message for those observing or involved in the standoff over raising the U.S. federal debt limit. Be afraid, be very afraid. So he obviously thinks we should be raising the debt limit, which we're likely going to do. Otherwise, the U.S. would default on its debt, and there would be a massive recession through the entire U.S. economy. In fact, if you take a look down here at this highlighted paragraph right here, it says stocks and bond prices would decline violently. Treasuries would gyrate as investors worried about how long payment prioritization would protect them, and money market mutual funds might pull out of government debt en masse, which basically means this is a dire warning that if the debt ceiling isn't raised, there's going to be a huge problem across the economy. Now, although the debt ceiling is likely going to be raised, this is not a good sign for the economy going forward. All right, so now let's drill down specifically into the real estate market. Now, I want you guys to watch a quick 1-minute clip from a popular YouTuber that's talking about how long real estate down cycles take before prices really kind of bottom out. And then we're going to come back to it. I'm going to comment on it right after. So let's take a look at that right now.
Your point about the duration of housing cycles, let's just take a look at some of the data on that. Because you can see historically, especially if you go back to the most recent housing downturn, peaked in 2006, inflation adjusted prices peaked in 2006. When did they bottom? 2012. Took 6 years for them to bottom. What if we go to a more, let's just call it minor housing downturn? Peaked in 1989. Prices peaked in 1989 in America. They bottomed in inflation adjusted terms in 1996. That was a 7-year downturn. Before that, in 1979, inflation-adjusted prices peaked. Where did they bottom? 1983, 4 years later. And so the historical data is very clear. Housing cycles last a long time. 4 to 6 years is what you should expect, which is maybe uncomfortable for some home buyers, because that's a long time to wait. And so another important thing to realize is, again, how long do you want to wait, and how important is it for you to get in at the lowest price possible? This is going to take some time for that lowest price possible to appear.
So basically what he's saying is that real estate down cycles take 4 to 6 years to happen. I know a lot of people want that to happen overnight, but that just does not typically happen when we see a real estate downturn. So 4 to 6 years is that window. We're only about a year into this down cycle. So again, because the Fed is also raising rates again and again, that's still going to be a lag effect on the real estate market. So it's going to potentially take a couple of years for real estate prices to eventually bottom out. All right, let's take a look at this article that just came out from Yahoo Finance. Take a look at the headline right there where it says housing economist predicts home prices will drop by 10% this year. Now, if we scroll a little bit deeper into the article here, I highlighted this paragraph right here where they talk about financial conditions will likely tighten in 2023. They expect the Fed to raise rates, which the Fed just did by 1/4 point. And they're also concerned about the bank failures that happened in March and April. So they think many banks are likely now to be more cautious and tighten lending standards. So that pretty much is the handwriting on the wall here, guys, because the harder it is now to borrow money from banks, that means there's going to be less buyer demand. Less buyer demand means prices are ultimately going to come down. That's why they're predicting a 10% drop. And I think it could potentially be more than that as we go through the back half of this year and into 2024. All right, so let's dig into mortgage rates here because a lot of people are concerned about how high rates are and they're wondering whether or not they're going to come down. They've been stagnating at about 6.5% roughly, but that's not really the true number. Take a look here next to that little blue button where it says 30-year fixed. It says 7.3%. That is the real aggregate number that most people are on for a 30-year fixed rate, because if you take a look at the credit scores above where it says 7 to 719, that's the average score, because you can go all the way down into the low 600s or even the 500s all the way up to perfect credit. So they take an aggregate score right here of 7 to 719 and you get 7.3%. So again, most people are not getting 6.3 or 6.5%. People with perfect credit that I've talked to are still close to 7%. Anybody below perfect credit, below 750 or in that 700 range, they're really in the low to mid sevens. Some people with FICO scores in the 600s, they're well into the 8% range. So again, this is what's making it very difficult for borrowers to get a home and afford payments because rates are still so very high. All right, so now let's drill down specifically into my neck of the woods here in Las Vegas. I want to show you guys a popular home builder here called Pulte. They're a big national home builder, very big here in Las Vegas. A lot of people have been wondering why home prices have been staying flat, if not going up potentially, in the last couple of months. And that's been true. Inventory had dropped down a little bit. This is the peak spring buying season. But I want you to still see that there are deals available even for new home construction here in Las Vegas. Take a look right here. I want to show you a couple of houses here. Right here, this home, first one on the left, was $645, is now $620. They have a $25,000 savings going on right here on this brand new construction home. This one is the Hamilton, $32,000 in savings. This was at about $680, it's now down to $648. Then this one down here, this one's a little bit more expensive. This one was $710, it's now down to $677, a $32,000 savings. So again, there are deals to be had here. I'm going to show you a few more coming up from the same builder. So there are deals to be had in Las Vegas with new home construction. You just have to look deep for them. Okay, so same builder, different community, a little bit of a different style home here, but you can see in the red bars here, the savings, $22,000 for the one on the left, $38,000 here for the one on the right. If we scroll down, we see a couple more examples here. You can see these two examples here. This one has $11,000 on the left, $35,000. Now these homes are in the mid to upper 600, so again, they're a little bit higher, but again, not all builders are giving these kinds of discounts. It just depends on community demand. This particular community is having discounts given right now by this builder. So again, do I think anybody should jump in right this second? No. I've been telling people to wait because I think prices are going to continue to come down, especially on new construction in some of these communities as we get through the back end of this year. And I think that's going to definitely be the case as we go into 2024 as well. All right, so I wanted to show you guys one final example here on the popular website, Realtor.com. Anybody can put in this information. I put in reduced home prices here in Las Vegas, and right in the upper left, right there, it says 1,006 homes. So I just got a whole list of over 1,000 homes with reduced prices. You can see right here, this first one on the left, 580,000, it's down 19,000. This one in the middle, 613,000, it's down 35,000. This one is a little bit pricier, 1.1 million, new construction down 150,000. If we scroll down a little bit deeper here, you can see this one for 715,000 is down 84,000, and this one at 550 is down at $15,000 price reduction. So again, there are price reductions happening across the board. A lot of people think they're not happening, but they really are. Do I think they're going to go a little bit deeper or potentially a lot deeper? I absolutely do. But again, anybody can put in this information. If you're looking now, there are price reductions, but I am advocating, obviously, as we go through the rest of this year into 2024, I think it's going to be a slow grind down on the real estate market, and these reductions are going to get steeper as we go through. So here's the sad news of all of that data, guys. The Fed has just raised rates again for the 10th time, and it's done little to curb inflation. The Fed's entire mission, they have stated this multiple times, that they would rather cause a recession than continue to have hyperinflation. So here's the problem. This is why this is a lose-lose situation. The Fed continues to raise rates, which is making it more expensive to borrow for homes, for cars, and everything else. And again, it's had very little effect on prices. Prices have not come down that much. If they decide to pivot away from raising rates and to stop doing that, they bring hyperinflation back into the mix. So either way, they're either going to cause a recession or they're going to cause hyperinflation. It's a lose-lose scenario, and that is bad news for the economy and the housing market going forward. So before we end today's video, I just want to give a shout out to my favorite comment from last week's video, and that goes to Thomas. You can see his comments here on screen that I'm just going to summarize real quick. He's talking about how we have record low unemployment. When we have record low unemployment, that basically means the Fed is going to green light more rate hikes, which means it's going to be harder to borrow for a home, harder to borrow for a car. It's going to potentially sink the stock market and potentially put us in a deep recession. And just remember, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure to leave me a cool or creative comment down below. And my favorite comment that I picked from this week's video, I'm going to give a direct shout out to in next week's video. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I also hope you appreciate my transparency. Like I've said before, I'm always going to keep it real on this channel regarding the overall real estate market, with specific emphasis here in Las Vegas. So with that said, guys, I definitely think patience is the prudent play. I think the real estate market is going to be a slow grind down on the back half of this year and into 2024. So if you can be patient, I think that's the wise option. But if you are thinking about relocating to beautiful Las Vegas, whether it's next month, in a couple of months, or next year, I've got your back. I'm a local real estate agent here. I know every inch of this city. When the time is right for you, just call, text, or email me anytime, and I'll help you find that perfect dream home. I'll see you guys in the next video.